Have you ever gotten so involved in a project that you don't stop to look around you and see the mess you've made in the process? I know I can't be the only one who gets involved in something and like forgets about everything else that exists and winds up creating a big mess, because I'm pretty sure that's how the plastic pollution has occurred, because humans were so busy developing, creating new things, we didn't stop to assess the damage that could be created by our inventions. And so over the last couple weeks, I've spent a lot of time researching plastic. So I hope you believe me when I say that plastic is really bad and you should watch your consumption. So my topic is plastic pollution and why the US should ban single-use plastics. There's already policies in place, and so should just continue. But anyway, to begin with, the Environmental Protection Agency estimates that about 500 billion to a trillion plastic bags are used every year. And so these bags are just the single-use ones you get at the grocery store for free. And it actually takes about 2.2 billion pounds of fossil fuels and 3.9 billion pounds of billion gallons of clean drinking water to produce the 100 million plastic bags the US consumes each year. And that water could be used for so many other things. There's so many places that don't have clean drinking water. And in June of 2017, the UN held an ocean conference that did #CleanSeas, and it's aimed to clean up the ocean and decrease the amount of plastic consumption. And so Wani Neo, who is an African journalist who does a lot of work on plastic for the African Union and the European Union. But anyway, the African Union was formed in 1999, and there's no current plastic regulation there, which is really bad because the drains in Africa aren't exactly great. They're often clogged by plastic, and then there's no solution to this. They go a long time without fixing it, and they become a breeding grounds for mosquitoes, which carry malaria oftentimes, which is its own problem in itself. And then there was a research article done by Australians about mosquitoes and how they spread plastic. So when mosquitoes have babies, they're like little eggs in the water, and they take all their nutrients from the water around them. And because our water is contaminated with microplastics, they're consuming the plastic, and the researchers found there's about 3,000 microplastics in the larvae, and as they grow older it decreases to about 40 microplastics per mosquito. But that's really bad because other animals rely on mosquitoes for food, and so then they're eating plastic even if they weren't previously affected by plastic pollution. And so the Environmental Investigation Agency did a report and tried to look around the world and see the 6 craziest spots that have been affected by pollution. And the first one is Henderson Beach. It's about 3,100 miles from the nearest landmass. It's in between New Zealand and Chile. And there's no inhabitants on the island, but there's about 36 to 37,000 pounds of plastic pollution. And this is just from the ocean currents bringing it on shore. And then the Arctic Sea. Okay, so every liter of water, there's about 12,000 microplastics in it. And that can also lead to increased global warming and the ice melting, just because it will heat it up more. But microplastics are these little beads or fragments of other plastic items. And the microplastic beads are typically originate in cosmetics like polyurethane products, and they just never really go away. And now they're all over water, and fish think they're food. Because in Antarctica, there's a lot of this plastic pollution as well in really uninhabited areas. And then Mount Everest, the Tibet government recently ordered a mandatory cleanup of Mount Everest because all the climbers leave their trash there and never get it. It just stays there. And it's really unsafe for a lot of people to go climbing there. So it's hard to clean it up. And then our last place is the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest place in the ocean. And anyway, Dive took photos of the bottom of the sea, and they ended up finding a plastic bag that was 6.77 miles under the ocean surface, and the Mariana Trench only gets as deep as 6.81 miles. So it's being classified as the deepest piece of trash ever found. So that's our famous little bag. And then Bali, Indonesia relies on tourism for 80% of their economy. They have 5 million tourists flock every year for the sandy beaches and the tropical weather. But Indonesia produces about 260,000 pounds of trash or plastic waste every day. And that's huge. It's one of the biggest polluting countries. Their ocean water is completely contaminated with plastic. And as you can see from this lovely photo of someone surfing, the plastic is just all around in the water. And then what's being done to help this? In London, the Evening Standard interviewed Sian Sutherland, who is the co-founder of A Plastic Planet, and he's really just urging people to watch what they're buying this Christmas and wrap things up, make your own presents, reduce your plastic waste, because 108 million rolls of wrapping paper, 40 million rolls of tape, and 100 million black bags of packaging will be gone through just in the UK this Christmas season. So that's a ton of waste for one holiday. It's kind of unreasonable. And then the European Parliament banned use of single-use plastics, and they intend to phase those out by 2021, and that includes balloons, plastic bags, straws, all that type of stuff. And then the Associated Press did a interview statement on South Carolina and Charleston in particular, and they voted to ban plastic bags and straws. But Jamie Stickmore, the founder of 1 in 5 for disabled people, says that people with arthrioposis who have difficulty moving their joints, they need straws because metal or bamboo reusable straws, they don't bend, so they still have issues using it. And paper straws are not a good alternative because some people take a long time to drink and the plastic will get icky, or the paper will get icky and becomes a choking hazard. So this just really relates to all 3 pillars of the Missouri State Public Affairs mission, because we need to be culturally competent and know that this is going on in our environment. We need to be ethical leaders and do something about this. And it's going to take a lot of people to do this, so community engagement is involved in that. And so overall, I hope you learned today that plastic is a much bigger problem than most people think. There's not enough news coverage on it and how bad it is. Thank you.